All my friends have dreads. 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 All my friends have dreads.
The following production has been brought to you by the Hippie Broadcasting Network, WTHC Radio, and Stoner Records. Now here's our hosts, Regular B and Rebel Rich.
What up?
What up? You should see my dog here. When he was listening to the Stoner Records, he's going.
It's like, yeah, I know that word.
Then he hears the applause. He's looking at her like, where are these people? Welcome, yes, to another episode of All My Friends Have Dreads. I'm your host, Regular Brandon. This is my co-host, Rebel Rich. We have a great show this week. We do have Mike Frassetto of Movement Moves Media. He's building a lot of bridges in the Allentown, the Lehigh Valley, and Rebel Sounds Rising has no problem walking across those bridges. Before we get into that, we do want to discuss last week a little bit. Rich, do you want to jump into that for us?
Last week we had the homie Leighton Meacham on, and we were talking about resilience and what it takes for an artist, how resilient an artist can be in this industry, trying to bounce back from negativity, trying to fight through, personal relationships and industry relationships, and just basically, talking about just, resilience. How resilient, you know what I mean? I mean, can't really explain it. Like, it's just, it was a really, it was a great conversation we had with a great homie, and we got to play his music and, just had a nice long talk.
Yeah, big shout out, big up Leighton. Awesome dude, awesome human being, very talented. Watch your girl, she may leave you.
As soon as she hears that voice.
I think the beautiful thing about resilience is that through that struggle, you gain appreciation for the success. If you didn't have to be resilient, then I may not appreciate the success. If it comes just like that, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
I'd probably just, if I had everything I wanted and was just given everything, I'd probably have rich kid syndrome or some shit. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. So, I mean, resilience is a beautiful thing. Touching on tacking on to that, I guess I would say we do want to talk about interpersonal relationships this week. I know that's a rough one for both Rich and also really. Rich. No,
I'm really bad at interpersonal relationships, and you know what, man? I think a lot of the reason why I have a hard time with it is anxiety and OCD, and quite possibly I just learned that, I may have been undiagnosed ADHD, because now all my adult symptoms that I'm showing is like reading ADHD, and it's like, you know what I mean? That is I have a hard time with building interpersonal relationships, because like the anxiety will cause me to worry too much about what I'm feeling and not enough about what that person's feeling. And because of my anxiety and my OCD, is I need to settle a situation or a topic or an argument or whatever it is. I need to settle it right now, and not recognizing that the person that I'm arguing with is not that type of person and doesn't react the same way that I do, and may shut down because of the type of the way I'm, coming. So it's just really hard, because when you think like that, and when it's all one-sided, and nothing is getting taken care of, nothing's getting fixed in the situation.
Yeah, no, I get it. I also struggle with the anxiety. Did you ever get You ever just sit down and like you'll play out a conversation in your head, and before you know it, you're mad at somebody, and like you never even had the argument, but you're mad about it. You know what I mean?
Dude, I do that with you, bro.
Right, and that's the kind of shit that goes on in our heads.
Right.
So knowing that and identifying that is obviously step one. So we got to learn. We have to be able to identify when this like the snowball is beginning to start. You know what I mean? When the spiral is beginning to spin, type thing, and cut it off early. We want to spot all the tension early, and we want to recognize our stress patterns. I think that's step one in interpersonal relationships. And I think the other way, and tying right directly into that as step one, would be setting boundaries, healthy boundaries. We have to learn sometimes how to treat other people, but at the same time, we also have to learn how we allow people to treat us, I guess, is the way I would say that. You know what I mean? It starts with setting healthy boundaries.
Right. Also healthy communication.
Right. And yeah, that's what I really want to talk about is healthy communication. So what is healthy?
I'm terrible at that too.
So first of all, what's unhealthy communication? What are we doing wrong in communication?
Not communicating is extremely unhealthy.
Right,
like,
just
period.
Shutting down completely.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, like kind of that's where I've been lately. And I don't want to. That's the thing, man. I don't want to. Like, I don't know how to. I don't want to. I guess what it really comes down to, man, is I don't want to burden myself, my issues especially with my wife. You know what I mean? Because we're dealing with a lot just to get by each day, and I don't want to burden her with it. But sometimes. And just by doing that, it's just making it worse for me. And then they're then she'll hear something that she didn't like, and I should have communicated to her, and I didn't, and then it just upsets her. So that's a real issue I have, is being able to communicate the right way.
So I guess what we're seeing is we either shut down. That's one way. We react instead of think, and act is another way that we unhealthily communicate, I guess.
Right. And I'm a very, very, very bad reactor.
Right. And so let's look into that. So why are we so reactive? A lot of times I think it's that it comes down to that fight or flight reaction, which is
PTSD.
The trauma response, right? But that doesn't make it okay. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, no, absolutely not. But I know I go into fight or flight mode because of my past, the stuff I've been through. And, it's always been like, okay, as soon as things start going bad for me, like everything else falls apart. So now, if sometimes it is better for me to walk away and just let her or the other person alone. But yet, because I'm afraid that if I don't, that person's going to think I don't care, and then it's going to end everything. And it's just, it's a mess.
And what sucks about that is it's not really fair to the other person that we are reacting on things that aren't necessarily their fault. You know what I mean?
Right.
And at the same time, the flip side of that is true. The exact opposite of that is true. So how do we go from unhealthy communication patterns to healthy communication patterns? What's the difference, or what does that look like?
It's really hard, especially when you're stuck in unhealthy patterns. Like, you may both recognize, or you just yourself may recognize you're in those unhealthy patterns and you cannot continue to do it, but yet you still continue to do it. And it's so hard to break that cycle, because at the end of the day, even if it's very passive, confrontation or whatever, it's still confrontation, and it's still conversations that we just don't want to have, sometimes. And so trying to get out of that cycle and face the uncomfortable situations, the uncomfortable conversations, and not get defensive. That's where I have a hard time, because as soon as I hear something that I may not agree with, I instantly get defensive, and I have to work on that, because
Absolutely.
that right there alone can destroy relationships and keep people. It could dead conversations right away, especially if you're too defensive. That's it. That person does not feel that they're like they can't even. There's no continue to have the conversation because you're just going to keep getting defensive, and it just kills it.
And yeah, and a lot of times that initial defensive reaction is based on an inaccurate perception of what the person actually meant to begin with. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or it's just based on maybe their trauma response that they have from their past. And so we at the same time have to try to understand that. And that's what I would say. It may not be fair to us to do that to them, but it's also not fair for them to do that to us. So I mean it's a tricky situation there. So how do we get out of doing these things? So one of the tricks I read, I have never tried this, but this one is they say actually active listening. So we're going to repeat back what the person says rather than react to what they say. We repeat it back to them to validate their feelings.
Right.
And in a sense, keep it calm. The other thing is we speak in, and this was one of the things I learned in recovery too. We speak in I and we statements rather than you and they or that kind of thing, rather than you did this. Right, like that's, and a lot of times, so when I talk about, like even when we're talking about our mental health, I'll say I and we do this rather than you do that. Like you're reacting, no, we're reacting because that's what we do, because it's more inclusive and it's not it's not ostracizing that person, and it doesn't feel like an attack. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So see what else. What other kind of using proper tones as well, being sincere in our listening. So there's an old adage that says it is better to understand than to be understood. You know what I mean?
Right.
So obviously
I like, because like if you understand that they don't understand you, that there is, you know what I mean? That can, you know, that could make you come to the table different, if that's the way I look at it. Like, you know what I mean? You could come to the table with a whole different attitude and a whole different perception of the conversation.
Or you come to the table understanding that this person is traumatized in some regard and they're not capable at this point of having that rational thought that you think is so easily rational. But based on someone's trauma, they're not able to approach it from that perspective. You know what I mean? So it's better to understand, like, because no matter what you do at that point, it's going to be an argument there. Or healthy communication patterns will say, look, we can agree to disagree, but I do understand why you're feeling this way. Those kind of things. You know what I mean? These are the ways to move forward more healthily. We, like I said, set clear boundaries. We want to set clear boundaries. Like, we get to a point, let's say we're arguing people, but at some point we want to change. So we say, look, we're going to argue. If one of us wants to argue, we're not having the conversation anymore. We're just going to stop, walk away, and pick it up later. That's a boundary. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's where I have a hard time doing, and I got to work on that.
Absolutely. I think we all do.
Right.
And I think the last thing is just accountability, holding yourself accountable, or don't be afraid to ask a friend. I mean, that's the big thing about mental health, and it's even huge in recovery. We get better by helping other people get better. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that is good for us. So when someone asks us for help, they're helping us. If you can choose to look at it that way, by you asking me for help, like when you call me and confide in me, that helps me as well. You know what I mean? Right. So don't look at it as so much as we're a burden. Look at it as so much kind of as maybe that person's having a shitty day and would also like to have a fucking heart to heart or something. You know what I mean? Right. Grim's at the door trying to get in. Sorry, buddy. But yeah, we got a great guest coming on, Mike Frassetto. He's the man that we've talked about quite a bit. Finally, our viewers are going to get to meet the man that's been a major help to Rebel Sounds Rising and myself, as not just a friend, but a colleague and even a mentor. Hey, this was helping me look for an apartment when I sold my half of the house. You know what I mean? I call
Right,
him
right.
my real
Yeah,
estate
he's-
guy. Right? So,
like I said, not just a friend, not just a colleague, but also a mentor. He's taught me a lot of stuff.
it's a family, rebel family, definitely.
Yes, sir. So
yeah, I guess we're gonna roll the video, and we will.
oh, the video is it's One Earth Reggae Fest recap, and that One Earth Reggae Fest is Movement Moves Media. Mike Frassetto's baby. He's involved in the biggest, putting together the biggest free reggae festival in the country. So this video will show you exactly what that festival is like.
I love reggae music because it's the people's music. It brings us all together no matter who you are or where you're from. It's that one love music. Reggae music to the world. It's the mighty mystic.
Reggae music is the vibration of the earth, and it's what's bringing me back to life. Life can be a real drag sometimes, working and just doing the mundane. But this is what it's about, man.
Oh yeah.
Peace, brother.
Thank you, bro.
I'm Cultivated Mind, Tony, and I love reggae music because it helps to purify your soul. Something healthy, man. It doesn't matter what culture or background it comes from. If it's good for you, we keep pushing it. Respect, brother.
Why do y'all like reggae music?
You know why? Because it's not violence. It's all about love.
Brings people together, I think, I see people down there just vibing, just having a good time.
Everybody of all colors, shapes, sizes can just get along.
Just here for the music.
Yep, and the vibe. And the fruit.
Exactly.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. It changed my life.
Oh, see?
Lovely lady, love me, love. La, 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 la. She loved me like $1 million. La, 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 la. She loved me like $1 million. La, 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 la,
Looking at me, I got me to say you want me. When you gonna give it up to me? Because your body enticing me, making me want it. When you gonna give it up to me? Well, if you're not today, girl, then I must see tomorrow. When you fulfill my fantasy, because you know I give you love and shade like an arrow. When you gonna give it up to me? So back it up there, so pack it up there. Cause I wanna be the man that's really gonna have it up and mock it up and rock it up there. So what is up, yeah. I am every day of my life. I am blessed. When I wake up in the morning and I lay my head to rest, every day of my life I am blessed.
I had a mother tell me the other day that she didn't birth her babies to bury them, and she understood that gun violence is the #1 killer of children in America.
Right.
And this is not a conversation about guns, because somebody got real uncomfortable right now, because we're giving out gun locks. All we're saying is lock up your guns, because people are dying in our communities. My name is Dr. Hassan Batts. This is the promised neighborhood of the Lehigh Valley. save lives in our community, and reggae music is the route.
Out in the streets, they call it murder.
Are you searching for affordable products and great rosin? Well, look no further. Whether you're keeping it simple or going all out, we've got you covered. Sunny's for everyday deals, and Hash RX for that premium fire. Sunny's keeps your stash affordable, giving you value every single day. When you want the best, Hash RX. Oklahoma's premium live rosin. No solvents, no shortcuts. Affordable or premium, the choice is yours. Find us at Oklahoma dispensaries.
Big thanks to Sonny's and Hash RX. Dude, that video gets me going. Dude, I tears
every time. Big shout out to Jimmy Gilson and the Gilson brothers for doing the footage. Welcome, Mike Frassetto, the man.
Frassetto's here.
Hey,
We've
guys.
been talking. You come up at least once. You come up at least once every episode. Your name gets brought up at least once every episode. So finally we get to bring you on. And look, he's got dreads too. This is one of our friends with dreads.
Thanks,
we're running
guys.
about 50%, maybe 40% on the dreads right now.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it. You told me before that people, you guys mentioned me probably for One Earth Reggae Fest, and yeah, I'm glad to be on so we could talk about it.
Yeah, the Cultural Fest too. You come up about. I mean,
yeah,
you're all over.
Yeah,
my wife said hi.
What was that?
My wife said hi, Mike.
Oh,
hi, babes.
Hi. Happy holidays. How you doing?
Hi, Jen. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
How you feel watching that video, Mike? Yes, it was awesome, dude. There's so many memories.
Oh man, yeah, like you said, it kind of brings tears to the eyes. Yeah, man, it just came a really long way. God, just so many things had to happen right. So many people had to be involved at the right times for all of this to happen, and to get to where we are now. And so interesting that I'm on the interview with you guys right now, because Rich and me met before it all started, and I remember that conversation like it was yesterday, and it was still off of like hope, like
right.
It will get there. I'm working on it. We're working on it. And Rich, I know you're like, when we were, 6 years ago or whatever, like just the way you approached me, like I get approached by a lot of people, and the way that you approached me, it was like, I have to hear him out. And we met and I heard him out, and I could just tell the passion in his voice, his mannerisms, that like he knew that I was serious and I knew that he was serious, even though we weren't going to be able to actually start something in a year or two.
Right.
It was like, we're making steps to get there, and to get to this bigger vision, it's going to take 1 or 2 years to get there. But I knew he was going to be there when that time came, and it came, and he was like, let's go.
Let's go. Hit the ground running.
Yeah. So how did that
it was the start of a beautiful friendship.
Yeah.
What happened then? How did that play into the hip hop awards? Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, at the 50th anniversary of hip hop awards, One Earth Reggae Fest had already got started. We already had our start at One Earth Reggae Fest at the Steel Stacks annual event. I think at that time it was the second or third year of one,
something like that. Second year.
Yeah, of One Earth Reggae Fest. So we had already had a working relationship.
I gotcha.
Yeah,
right.
At that time with the 50th anniversary of hip hop awards, which was really a really, really dope show.
Oh my God, that was so cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. And to shout out to Billy Dance from MOP. He's just a really down to earth dude. And he got a lot of the industry leaders that sent in like the cameos and the videos
Steve
and stuff.
Rifkin.
Yeah, man.
Papoose. Like,
Yeah.
it was dope.
You know, he really helped out. And I knew that we were going to need, at that time, I knew we were going to need stage help because that's not my lane. Like I could do it in a crunch, but on something that level, I saw Rich's professionalism already with One Earth Reggae Fest, and I was like, yeah, no better person to run a stage than you.
Thank you.
Yeah, generally you don't want an organizer to have to run a stage anyway. You want to be organizing, not running a department. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? You know, when you first start an organization, so like Movement Moves Media is a 501c3, you know, a registered nonprofit. We're in our 9th year now. Well, in 2026, in a few weeks, we'll be in our 9th year. And you know, in those first few years, you're doing everything. You know, you're wearing all the hats. You know, you know, you're wearing all the hats. Putting in attention. Yeah, exactly. You know, putting in all your money, any resource you got, asking people for help just to get things started. Because like any business, it takes 3 years to get off the ground, you know, and running, you know. So those first 3-4 years are always just like, got to do whatever I got to do just to get to this bigger vision that I see. And here we are 9 years later. And, you know, we have One Earth Reggae Fest on its 5th year, where it's, you know, been definitely now a staple in the community, really becoming a big show in the entire region, probably nationally now.
It's free. I mean, it's free.
Let's talk about that. We project it to be the largest free reggae festival in the country. This past year, we drew between 15,000 people, breaking Arts Quest single day numbers for one of their events, bringing in, you know, headliners and artists such as Sister Nancy, Long Beach Dub All-Stars. We've had Mighty Mystic. We've had Sundub. We've had Locals L&J Sessions to Lunch Trucks. We've had Red Fox. We've had just so many like amazing artists. And then we have a list of artists that are just waiting to play. And plus, you know, the community partnerships with Promise Neighborhoods and Space Camp and Rebel Sounds Rising. You know, it was a lot. So tell us, man, what does it take to manage, you know, what's possibly the large free reggae festival in the country? Like give us, let's talk about the behind the scenes a little bit of something like that.
Well, you know, first I got to thank the venue, because you need, so that's Arts Quest. You know, the CEO over there, Cassie Hilgard, and their head of programming, Patrick Brogan, have been nothing but the best to Movement Moves Media and One Earth Reggae Fest. They, you know, when I pitched them the idea, they, I think they felt the same passion that you and me had, Rich, in our first conversation that we had, where we knew this was serious. We knew the vision, which was 5 years out, could be attainable. And I think I pitched the One Earth Reggae Fest to them. They saw the vision too, and they believed in it. So definitely got to give, you know, the big shout outs to them, because without a venue and their team, you know, this is not possible. Or it'll make it a lot harder. We wouldn't be where we are today without them. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Big shout out to them and all their departments that, you know, you talk about what's involved. Yeah, man, the day or two, the week after the, you know, One Earth Reggae Fest, which is, you know, we always try to do it the July 4th weekend. The week after, we're already planning, you know, for next. It's a full 12-month process.
I remember that. He said,
trying to grow it.
Like, yeah, they set up the email chain for next year already. I'm like, dude, this should happen yesterday. What are you doing?
We don't play.
Yeah.
You know, so what role does the community trust play in sustaining a free festival at that scale?
Yeah, that's That's a very good question. Yeah, the community. Yeah, great questions. The community trust is utmost.
Right.
Yeah. The community trusts us, and they're still critical, and I love that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I love that because it got to the point, I think, because how the team reacts to comments in person, our professionalism of how we try to continue to strive to get better every year.
Right.
And the way that we bring in the community to say, hey, what do you want to see here? How can we make this better year after year? Just involving them in the conversation, not really like coming at them on social media stuff that they might do constructive criticism that some people might be like, yo, man, they're talking shit. To me, they're not talking shit. They're giving you information.
Right.
And we try to use that information to get better every year. So I believe over the last 5-6 years of growing One Earth Reggae Fest, they understand that, and they see the team and the professionalism, and they're trusting us more and more with getting to this bigger vision of really making it into the biggest free reggae festival in the country.
Right.
Yeah, I think they just see the progress every year, that it's getting better and better.
It's awesome. You guys, you have like, I remember there's a drum circle, a couple years. So like, how do you keep these fresh ideas coming in? Like, how do you?
Yeah, you know what, I'm gonna say, I think it's from the community. It's not one person. It's definitely not one person. It's definitely not me. I know that. I'm they're not here on the call, but I could probably say that the same for the leaders at Arts Quest, Cassie and Patrick and all their departments. It's a big, I look at it as like a big brainstorming activity for a year long, and now on 5-6 years going. So it's like never stopped this conversation for probably about a year before One Earth Reggae Fest started. So about 7 years going of a constant communication of, and then we have such an amazing team of being able to have open communication. So it's a brainstorming activity where everybody feels comfortable to just blurt out an idea.
Right.
I heard this idea. I dreamt about this idea. What do you guys think about it? And it's like, I don't know, maybe 50% of them are like, no, that's not going to work here. Cool.
Right.
Fine. Moving on. And then the ones that do, the team is so like, okay, let's try it. Let's try it. And man, and sometimes it's like, let's try it. Oh, and then afterwards it was like that.
We should have done that.
Yeah, that was horrible.
We should have done that.
They're not. That's some of them are good ideas, though. Obviously, Rich had the idea. Give Rebel Sounds Rising the Williams Brew stage indoors.
Oh man, that changed.
Sets last year. It was awesome.
Our new home.
Oh, yeah. That's your new home. That change. That's your stage. We were looking at where would a third stage go, and we had it that 1 year, but then last year when you took over and like curated that stage, it took it to another level, and to the point where it was like, yeah, just curate that stage every year.
Right.
Well, I think it's beautiful too because it's July. It's the first week of July, so it's hot. I mean,
yeah.
And you get this, you can go inside, you get this nice little relaxed vibe where it's mostly acoustic stuff.
And our local, it also, we're using it. We get to highlight and showcase our local and regional talent as well that couldn't make it to the main big stage right away. The up and comings that you could expect to see in the future. So that's what Rebel Sounds Rising does too. So
absolutely, yes. So big thank you to you, Mike, and to Arts Quest for that one.
Definitely a huge addition to One Earth Reggae Fest, the Williams Brew stage, Rebel Sounds Rising, organizing that stage on the inside, because you're right, Rich. We have so many, we only have two main stages, a main stage, the Levitt Pavilion, and then the Highmark stage. it's a 1 day event with 2 stages, and the music can't go on at the same time. So we only have a certain amount of slots that we can have. And there's so many bands across the whole country that want to come to this one that it's so hard to get everybody on. I mean, at one point we have some people waiting 3-4 years to come, you know, this, and then the whole vision of One Earth Reggae Fest too was to uplift the local reggae scene, to mix them with some national headline. And we got to the point probably on the 3rd year or so where it was like, we got to cut some of our local acts out because we just don't have enough space for them. But now opening up the Williams Brew stage, now it gives them that first step into this festival, which I love.
Yeah, that is awesome. So I do want to talk about, actually, give me your favorite moment before we move on. I want to know what your favorite moment is from any one of the Oneers.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Do you feel like we've made it? Like, have you reached the goal, or is it still, we want to be bigger than this? This isn't the goal yet. We haven't made it yet.
No. To be honest, I don't know if
I'd like to see One Earth at every Levitt in the country.
Yeah, that's a big vision. Yeah,
but it's a manageable and it's a doable vision.
It is, actually. Now that you say it, holy shit! I think you just gave us another goal to go with.
I will listen. I will be honest. I can't take credit for that, because it was actually Doobie that was talking about, that had that idea about taking it to, because there's a Levitt out in Colorado. I believe there's a Levitt up in the Northeast somewhere. There's like 6 or 7 other Levitts out there.
Yeah,
sponsored by the same Levitt.
Yeah, there's one in California. I think that's where it started. It's a national foundation that they build the stage, but and at certain venues. But the venue has to agree to run it a certain way. It needs to have this style that they want, like kind of what you get.
The brand.
And then it needs to have a grass area in front of it, and it needs a certain percentage of the shows to be on it to be free.
X amount of shows per year it needs to have.
Yep, and it needs a certain amount of the shows to have live bands, not just like an artist over a track.
And those free shows, for people that haven't really been to Levitt show, a lot of those free shows are bigger name bands. Like, they're not just, your local party band, or I've seen Article Sound System free there. I've seen
Ludacris there last year.
Well, Swayze, that was paid. We're talking about the free shows.
I about music. Music Fest.
Uglies.
So I was researching One Earth and to see what the biggest free music festivals in the country are, and I'm pretty sure Music Fest is the biggest free music festival.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, they just broke a record this last year because the weather, I don't think, out of the 12 days they have it, I don't think it rained one day. So it was literally, the best weather conditions you could think of for, in August for Music Fest. I think they broke 1.5 million people.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's the biggest free music festival in the country. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
it's a great area to be blowing up in,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially music. Music Fest is known coast to coast.
Yeah. I'll give you a cool little story. So Music Fest was started like 40 years ago or something like that, and it started with this guy, his name's Jeff Parks. And he's the one who started Arts Quest. His name's Jeff Parks. And I was just with him 2 weekends ago at a little poker game. And it was my second time sitting down with him playing this game, and got to talk to him. And man, he's just he retired, and then he was the CEO of Arts Quest, and then he passed on the reins to Cassie Hilgert about 6-7 years ago, I believe, after he retired. And she's been the CEO ever since. But you could just tell, like, sitting down at the same table as this guy, he's on cloud nine, because it's something that he created.
Right.
And Music Fest being the thing that really got Arts Quest started. He got Music Fest started, and it turns into the largest, in the Americas, the largest
free open air festival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the Americas, and it's growing every year. They just broke a record, and Arts Quest's venue is growing. You just see them building on East 3rd Street in South Bethlehem, the new creative factory.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just expanding every year. And, it's something that he started 40 years ago, and it turned into this, where now he steps down and it's still growing. Like, so it's going to go on forever. So his legacy is from his idea and his energy to he started it, is going to go on many, many, many years after he's gone, which is
and the cool thing about Music Fest is there's so many, there's a headliner at the end of the night that's paid, but it's free. There's so many free stages all over the city of Bethlehem on north side and south side, and those stages give a lot of regional artists a lot of recognition. So let's talk about Movement Moves Media and the work that you have done for the region and the culture and the local artists, from hip hop to reggae to, putting them, because I know you have you've done shows at the Plaza Trop at Arts Quest with local hip hop artists, local DJs. Like, let's talk about that. So how do the relationships sustain the regional scene?
Yeah, like you said, the Plaza Trop, it's a great stage, and that's at Music Fest every year. They let us curate that for one night. It's a great way to get the local artists that are super talented, but just don't have the connection, with a certain venue that could get them in front of a crowd. Right. So, with the High Mark stage that we do every year at Music Fest, just working constantly with Arts Quest year round has been a blessing, because Movement Moves Media, we don't have any artists ourselves. We're not like a label or anything, but what we do is we're like that bridge that, the local super talented artists that really want to put in a lot of work, we'll connect them to and give them a chance at one of our stages at some great venues, and great festivals. So that's been the biggest I guess plus we could say that we gave to the local music community.
Right. Well, there's also, you also have International Cultural Fest, which we are also involved with you as well. And that not only showcases, the local international culture that's going on around here, from different types of, styles of, we've had reggae, we had, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm thinking of GOE Troop, like just the bands that we had at the International Cultural Festival, and what you're doing and what that does for the community as well, and for the
Panchito Bongo was dope, dude.
Yeah, Panchito Bongo. Yeah. So you know what? That is such a interesting festival. That's I love festivals. I always did, ever since I was a teenager. And you get the different, each festival has its own like unique feel. You know what I mean? It has its own, like, some of them have a cult following. Some of them have just a different atmosphere. But the International Cultural Festival, which is held at the end of the summer at now Cedar Beach, which is in Allentown. It's a great venue, very beautiful park.
Yeah, it's great.
Awesome.
Yeah. And it has the potential for this festival is something that's just has intrigued me since it started 6 years ago by the CEO who's stepping away from the Allentown Festival, but her name's Michelle Zattoni.
Shout out Michelle, she's an
cool.
awesome
Yeah, I like
person.
Michelle.
Yeah, good people. You know, and me and her always got along. You know, just we weren't about the drama, you know, that some different organizations might have when they try to collaborate and stuff like that. We, you know, for the last 12 years, we knew each other. It was just like, yeah, you know, I do what I do, you do what you do, but we know sometime in the future we're going to do something together. It took, it took, you know, 10 years. But we were kind of side by side going our own way, but close to one another. And it got to the point where she was like, hey, you know, I see what you're doing with One Earth Reggae Fest and Movement Moves Media. Do you want to be involved with the International Cultural Festival that she started? And you want to make it explode. You want to, can you grow it like you did with One Earth Reggae Fest? And I was just like, I love the vision, you know, the way she pitched it, just like I pitched One Earth Reggae Fest to Arts Quest. The way she pitched it to me is like, I love what you stand for, and I love what this festival stands for, and I love the potential of it. And yeah, I do see the vision that it could get that big. And then you got the mayor of Allentown, Matt Turk, who wanted an end of the summer festival at Cedar Beach, and is a big music. He loves.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. He's a skater and everything.
Yeah. Cool mayor, and always super open with me. Some people would say different, but you know, when you're doing great things, you're gonna have lovers and haters. But he's always been super open with me, and supportive. And he was supporting, and he still is, this International Cultural Festival. So we have like this opportunity to grow this festival into a regional type festival, which celebrates all the different types of cultures. I believe this past year there was 38 different nationalities that were represented at this at the International Cultural Festival, and that's something we want to keep going in the future. You know, every year after year, grow that number. So what happens then is, if I could go on a little tangent, what happens?
Go ahead.
You have, you know, so many times it's like, this is a Latin festival. This is a West Indian or, you know, a Caribbean festival. This is a rock and roll or a country festival, you know, and then everybody's still segregated in a way.
Right.
But this is one that's so unique that it brings the different cultures together, and they could celebrate the different music and everything.
Right.
Like that. You know, and if I could go on another little tangent off this tangent, I got to say what you said about Doobie, you know, coming up with that idea, you know, having it at every Levitt pavilion.
Right.
That does not surprise me that he would come up with something like that, because he also came up with the idea of mixing hip hop into, you know, positive hip hop.
Yeah. Listen, so I seen that. I just didn't get a chance. Like, if I'm not answering on the email thread, just count me as in I'm with it. You know what I mean? So
if he disagrees, you'll know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Listen, if I disagree, you absolutely know. And so Doobie had mentioned bringing in conscious hip hop, and basically I see where he's going. So it's kind of like the vision for Reggae Rise Up kind of has that same vibe, that same lineup, from roots reggae to the different types of reggae fusion to conscious hip hop on that stage. And now I see that, so I'm like, let's go. And the artist
like, my favorite reggae artist is Damian Marley. He doesn't even really sound like reggae half of his songs. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
yeah, he's a perfect mix between hip hop and reggae. Yeah, roots reggae. Yeah. So, you know, right when I've been thinking about it for a few years too. You know me, I always try to put hip hop, because, you know, hip hop, you know, is so big globally, but in this area, it has gotten it's been hard to get off the ground, hip hop in the Lehigh Valley.
But I'll be honest, and I don't mean to, I'm not saying this like to piss anybody off, but a lot of the hip hop gets in hip hop's way in the Lehigh Valley.
Yeah.
I don't think I had any real leaders, like real leaders in the hip hop in the Lehigh Valley or in Pennsylvania.
Not anymore. I mean, you had Menace, you know, Space Camp, what's his name? Red McFly.
Yeah.
You know, there's even DJ Quick Draw. I would consider a leader, you know, in the Lehigh Valley. So, but they're, you know, it's getting older, and you know, it's you know, hip hop. There's just a lot of shit that comes with trying to get hip hop up off the ground.
Yeah. So like, you know, giving the hip hop leaders in this area a venue and a festival to get, you know, the community more aware of their art. You know, I got to shout out, you know, Bez Music too, you know, because
absolutely.
Yeah,
leader.
Of course, when it comes to hip hop, you know, he's a young DJ, 22 years old, but he's been a professional now going on 8-9 years. You know, he was doing clubs since he was 14, you know, and he grew up in a club that his dad owned, you know, so, and he has old school hip hop running, you know, pedigree, you know, through his blood. And, you know, now he's you know, for the last, I think 3 years, he's been a DJ on the local hip hop station, Loud 99. And
does it in iHeartRadio, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And he's you know, now a DJ and running programming 6 hours a day on the local
and you teamed up with him. You guys are doing the teaching children, the youth, to DJ, and that's what separates, you know, a leader from a follower, is things like that. You know, to become a leader in the community, teaching your art and your trait to you know, pass it on to the youth.
You got Dreadhead and Oski doing a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
too,
absolutely.
With kids too. Oski from Space Camp, working with a lot of kids.
Yeah, man. I love the work that they do. I love the you know, every time they get involved in the community. That's the stuff I love to see. You know,
absolutely.
You know, that's just what, you know, I'm going on my 20th year now involved in the community doing nonprofit work, and that's just what I love to see when people try to give back what, you know, the resources that they are connected to, when they give back to the community and get others involved. That's when that, how else do you want to say it, but that good energy gets spread, you know. That's the way it has to happen. If people don't want to give back to their community and they just want to keep all the successes and resources to themselves, well, you got a big disconnect then. People who don't have it and people who made it, you know. So the only way you could get up here is if you're one of that, you know, 1 in a 10,000 or whatever that made. But if you have the ones up here that are trickling down the resources to the one here to uplift them, now you guys are in a you know, a same playing field. And that's what it's about. It's about uplifting the community, the ones around you that would love that opportunity to get where you are, or be in the same room with the resources that you're involved in.
And the cool part about that is once you make that connection together, we can go further than just that one person would have by themselves. You know what I mean?
100%.
So it's a beautiful thing, which is kind of, I think that's a very good segue into our mental health topic of the week, which was interpersonal relationships. We talked about communication and healthy boundaries and healthy ways of communicating with each other, and not being reactive and understanding how other people feel before we act, and not focusing so much on how we feel, but more on how they feel. So knowing all this and applying this interpersonal relationships and these positive principles to this, to all the networking we're doing here, what, like, how do we practice these healthy things on a daily basis through all this stress that's coming at you from all these different angles? And it's chaos, you know?
It's chaos. It's kind of like organized chaos. You know, your mind's, and that's just the way my mind is naturally, though. It's you know, in 10-15 different places at once, and it's weird if I describe it. It's a constant cycle that just goes, and sometimes it keeps me up late at night. I'll think about all these 10-15 different topics that are going on right now and that I got to think about in the future, in months and years down the line, and then it gets to the last topic, but it's all connected. That's why it's a circle. And then once I get to that last topic, it starts over again.
It's over.
And it's been like that for, since I can remember, where I was like, yo, everything I'm doing is connected somehow.
Right.
And, and that's exactly what we're doing here with Movement Moves Media and everything that we're involved in. When you talk about interpersonal relationships, it's the bonds and connections between individuals. So when you talk about, like, for example, One Earth Reggae Fest, how we were just talking about how it's a open forum of it's okay to talk. It's okay to say what's on your mind and brainstorm an idea. If it's one that's not going to work or one that's going to work, let's feel comfortable with one another so we could just say what's in this crazy brain and everybody's crazy brain, because inside everybody's crazy brain are some amazing thoughts. And a lot of times people keep those thoughts to themselves because they don't have that relationship and bond between other people that they're comfortable enough to open up and talk about it. So everything we do, just like One Earth Reggae Fest, we try to make it so everybody involved is comfortable to, let their mind free.
Right.
Free your mind.
Right. And when you get to free your mind, that brings you into the creative process, and you're collaborating with all of these people, you know what I mean? And especially collaboration across genres and cross events, the chemistry between artists, it's important. So how do relationships influence that creative process?
Yeah, you hit it right on the nose. And, that's where this was going to. This perfect segue. It was like, so that's how we base our relationships with the people involved that are going to start these festivals or this programming. And it turns out when you do that, you create festivals like that.
Right.
That get the same feel as that relationship with everybody. The festival takes on that same feel where, wow, it's not just segregated. It's got so many different genres, and it got so many different types of demographics and communities within one festival that, wow, like this is not a normal type of festival because of all the different types of demographics that are welcomed here.
Right.
And I think that's what we're going for in everything that we do.
Right.
I love it. And dude, as far as the International Culture Fest, we're super excited. From what I saw, it was such an amazing day where everyone was interacting with each other. Everyone was at peace. There were no problems. And from what I saw, we don't have to be scared anymore. Like it'll work. You know what I mean? We've seen that it can work, and we learned some things from last year, and it can only get better from here. So, I mean, but we saw enough to say that, yes, people are going to come and it's worth doing. So, I mean, it's definitely going to grow from there.
Yeah. You know what, if I could talk on that a little bit, you know what? So I remember.
I don't mean to cut you off, but let me just let you know, we can run past 9, by the way, guys. Okay. There's no show directly after us, so we are free to run past 9, and this is a great show. So I'm down to, keep the conversation going a little bit more if you guys are.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for saying that, because I could have probably talked on that tangent definitely past 9. Yeah, so you gotta think about it like this entire thing that we've been doing, starting with it all starts with interpersonal relationships, and getting everybody's minds together is such a reward for me to see being involved in this whole process over the last 20 years or 9 years that I've been with Movement Moves Media, because I remember 20 years ago when I first got involved, and even 9 years ago when Movement Moves Media first started, the conversation when we talked about mixing demographics, literally just 20 years ago in this area in the Lehigh Valley, just 20 years ago, and 9 years ago, it was, that's right. That could be dangerous. That could be dangerous. And that gets to me because, and it always did, but it was like the people I'm talking to, like big funders and stuff and sponsors that would make this happen. You need money and, that to happen. It was like, this is that's a dangerous idea, mixing all those people together, and problems could happen.
Yeah, but you did something really amazing quite a few years back with the local hip hop scene, and there you had artists on the news, and there was that push to stop the violence push that was going on, and then the walkouts, and wow, we could talk a long time about things you've been involved in, not just that, but the decriminalization of marijuana in the Lehigh Valley and everything. But yeah, so.
No, that's great. Yeah, so it's basically like all the things that you mentioned too. It was all like pushing the boundaries. Like there was a boundary that's acceptable and unacceptable, and I was always, well, I think to most people unacceptable, but I tried to I tried to be on the middle line as much as possible, but I tried to pull the acceptable over to the unacceptable side as much as possible. And sometimes that stuff would take years to happen. And, with these festivals, it's like, well, I came into the nonprofit world 20 years ago hearing, ooh, don't mix demographics. It could be a very dangerous time. And now that we were able to, at some of these festivals, like One Earth Reggae Fest, International Cultural Festival, to mix the demographics, now they're going, ooh, it did work. This is something 15 years ago, 10 years ago, we would have never thought of doing in this area. And now you did it, and it was successful, and now it's growing and breaking records. Let's keep doing it.
Right.
So it's like, all right, now what I'm going to tell everybody right now, like, what's the next boundary we're going to try to push?
It seems like we're in a time where it's almost becoming cool to help people and to unite versus... because everything's so divisive and it's so blatantly obvious at this point, and people are just getting sick of it. And a lot of people just want peace and unity and want to hang out with people. And it's,
Brandon, Brandon, you make such a good point. There's so much divisiveness in this world right now. We're divided on so many different fronts. Maybe this is why these festivals and this type of atmosphere at these festivals have been so successul with
almost like the way unity is almost a rebellious act at this point. You know what I mean?
Right. You know what? That's the basis of reggae. Unity was always scary.
Unity through rebellion, like
100%. Yeah, the people who control, and are the decision makers for countries and that run in the big corporations and everything. The scariest thing to them is a united people.
Yeah.
That's the scariest thing to them.
It can take their shit from them.
Yeah, where they're on the same page and going, hey, enough is enough. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it's scary, but at least we know, like, I firmly believe that, the path to unity is through music, man. Like it just really is, because music is such it's a universal language.
Disarming.
And it's like, and music, it's so powerful because like it instantly changes your attitude, perspective, views, you name it. And especially like reggae music, you know what I mean? Because it's just, I've never met somebody that said, yeah, I can't listen to this. It's except for, I don't like this. It makes me feel too happy.
Yeah.
Okay, Jay.
But I think it's even for that, 2 hours, 3 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours, or whatever that festival or that show is going along. For those moments in between that time, nothing else matters. There's no violence. There's no nothing. Everybody's moving in unity. Everybody's heads are bobbing the same way. Everybody's hands are clapping the same beat. Everybody's arms are waving left to right the same. Like we all become one, surrounded by sound, man. And it's if people could just remember that when you wake up the next day, like. And just take a little bit of that with you every day, man. Like you can, we would be so much better as a society.
Yeah.
And they need to let us smoke our ganja. And speaking of ganja, that's how I met Mike Frassetto. I was scrolling on Facebook
at Infusions.
Infusions Cafe and Lounge, but he was scrolling on Facebook and I come across this. This is a couple years back. I come across this documentary called Lit. And it was a documentary that Mike had. It's like 45-minute documentary that Mike produced about the legalization and decriminalization of marijuana in the Lehigh Valley, but also, you know, the medical marijuana at doctors. It was a really great and educational documentary that it made me reach out to Mike and say, listen, we need to collaborate somewhere. So, and then he's working in the dispensary, the first dispensary that was in the Lehigh Valley up there in Emmaus. And, you know, so you've really done a lot for not just, you know, politics in the Lehigh Valley, but the youth. You were a teacher. You organized walkouts when things were not going right. Like you've pretty much been a mentor to a lot of people as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That was like a trip down memory lane right there. Yeah, like I said, you know, that's all kind of pushing the boundary kind of topics. When it came to decriminalization of marijuana, I was a teacher for 6 years. I was born and raised in Allentown, and I was a teacher in this area for 6 years before the walkouts. And, you know, I had some of the kids come back to me and say, hey, man, I can't get a job because, I can't get a job because I have this little weed charge that I had when I was 18 years old. Right. It's like, damn, you got caught with a gram and you're trying to get your life started and you can't find a job. Like you're forced into a warehouse, or you're forced into something that you don't want to do because the other industries won't take you because you have a criminal background of having a gram on you while you were, somewhere. Stories like that. And when people are like, medically too, when, geez, people were criminalized because they just needed help, medically. And that's what helped them because they didn't want to take like hard prescriptions that they had horrible side effects. It was like, this is a no-brainer, guys. We have to stop criminalizing people over this. So, I could go on and on about it, but
but you pulled the community together, including like Space Camp was involved, went in front of the mayor and spoke, and everybody. You really brought the attention to the point where it was decriminalized in Allentown and parts of Bethlehem as well. So yeah, that's a huge, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just huge, period. Huge.
Yeah. What I realized about all those things, when speaking up against a local school district that is, just really messing up. I could go into details, but it's not necessary. But that marijuana, putting demographics together, programming festivals, all of that is like, it comes down to, I think not everybody's on the same page, but a majority of us are on the same page. It's just somebody needs to come together and come out and say something about it. That's how it always starts. Right. Somebody has to say that this is not right, or this is right. We should be doing this instead. And then once you say that idea out loud, then people can say yes, or some people could say no. And then when more people say yes, and that conversation starts in the community, then you get more and more followers. And if you get enough followers to the point where you could start to sway the decision makers, like people who sign laws and ordinances and stuff like that, or big donors or sponsors that would want to support something like that, then it's like, wow, we're really making political moves here, just by talking it freely about and not being scared about these taboo topics. And that's how we kind of swayed politics in this area for the last 10 years.
Right.
Speaking of taboo topics, it makes me wonder how a show about reggae music, weed, and mental health would be received. Say we were doing this 20 years ago, when it was taboo for men to ask for help, or anyone really to have mental health problems. It's just, it's come a long way as a society, and I'm glad to see that there are places people can turn for help now, because it didn't always seem like that.
we're all around the same age, and it was we grew up in that time where still it was like the end of it, of like, nah, guys, don't cry. You hold that shit in right here.
Right.
And we were taught that and grew up with that because that's how our parents grew up, and their parents even worse.
Right.
Shit, you had people back then, our great grandparents working 60, 70 hour work weeks, for 10 cents an hour. I was like, no, you gotta work that 12-hour shift for the next 30 years. That's just hold that shit inside. Like,
yeah, I could never get behind that, man. And as a 47-year-old man, like, it's hard because I just never could get behind that. You have to go to work and be miserable for 40 to 60 hours a week, no matter what, just because you have to pay your bills. Like, no, we're not meant, like, that's just so counterproductive to the human brain, man.
There could have been a time where it was almost worth it. Like 50, 100, like 60 years ago, like my grandfather was worth it for him. You know what I mean? He made a decent living just going to work 40 hours, coming home, taking care of the kid. Like, it's not the same. I mean, now you need, like, your parents both got to have jobs. One of the kids got to be working just to pay your rent,
And everybo's got to have an OnlyFans.
Right. Dog's got an OnlyFans selling feet pics.
Yeah, man. I wish I might get started.
Right. So moving forward, man. So like we have this great partnership. Like what excites you about our partnership moving forward? What do you see in the future for Movement Moves Media and Sounds Rising on collaborations?
Yeah. Did
I put you on the spot?
No. I mean, like just all those taboo topics that I talked about my entire.
Right.
This is stuff. Talking freely was something that I was comfortable doing since I was a child. I was always the one questioning authority. Some people say I have I forget what it's called, but like a complex against authority. It's not. It's just if somebody says something, I might want to question them. And if you give me a good answer, I agree with you. It's just simple. I was like that ever since I was in second grade or whatever. And it definitely got me in trouble in school. But I was like, so I was always okay for talking about these topics. So when you bring something up like that, it's like, let's talk about the vision and the future. Well, I'll just say this: growing One Earth Reggae Fest to the largest in the free reggae festival in the country is something we're going to continue to strive for. Get better every year. I really like the International Cultural Festival in Allentown at Cedar Beach. That's something that has just such a unique vibe that I haven't seen at another festival before. And growing that together, it would be another pleasure of mine if we could do that. I really love the like you said, the DJ from Scratch program that Bez Music is doing. We just did that at the Boys and Girls Club, and we're going to start another cohort starting in March. We can't wait to run that programming out of the new creative factory that Arts Quest is opening.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah, so growing those relationships, and when you grow those relationships and you have success, what success breeds is more success. So then you'll have other people, that have money and would like to donate and would like to be sponsors. They'll step up and be like, yo, I see what you guys been doing for 10 years. What do you want to do next? And, when you have the support like that financially, then your creative palette now just increased in size. Now what we can do is this big. Now, if we get more support, it's now what we can do is this big. And just by doing it, you're literally pushing the boundaries again. You have the opportunity to push the boundaries further. A lot of people don't know that in history that they think like Martin Luther King Jr. was just a guy that, spoke up and gave sermons and, the whole country united against, united with him, and his, his rhetoric of love.
Right.
Peace, but it was not just one guy. He had millions of dollars behind him and different organizations all across the world supporting him. You need that support to be able to push the boundaries like he did.
Yeah.
And in a
Right,
much smaller scale, we're doing the same way by, if we do get that support, we could push the boundaries a little further.
Yeah, that's I think our first year we tried a little too hard to push boundaries. All we really did was push bank account boundaries. But
Right, but we came out aggressive, but look
It
at
was awesome, though.
the relationships we built.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
The only way you can do it is to come out aggressive, and you have to make, you have to turn heads and make a footprint right away, or else you'll fade away. And that's,
I think we're positioned for longevity, and a lot of that is because of Mike Frassetto and One Earth Reggae Fest. So
the relationships that we've built. So what's next for Mike Frassetto and Movement Moves Media?
Well, first is the family life. When you talk about me personally, I got a 4.5-year-old. I got my in-laws living with me. I got a house to run. I got a wife that's been with me for 20 years. So that's first. That's no question about that. For my wife, because I don't get paid for this stuff, to run these festivals. It's not a thing. So for my wife to, I got a great woman behind me, because how many women would allow their husband to work a majority of his time working, 50-60% of his time working for no money.
Listen, my wife, if she's still sitting here listening, she's one of those. She's amazing with that. It's because of her that I was able to put in the work and the time that to be able to get to where we're at. So yeah, it's definitely key to have a strong woman behind you.
Yeah, shout out to all the strong women that are supporting their men out there. We're trying our hardest, and that's always on the back of my mind, is how to support the family and the woman more. So to have that reciprocated is there you go. That's part of mental health. Yeah. If you have a woman behind you supporting you, that just makes you feel so much more free as a person. Like, okay, I can take this risk. I can do this. This is something I've been thinking about for a long time. Let's go do it. Let's go do it.
Right.
That's how it should be too. Our relationship should be approached as a team sport. We're on the same team trying to accomplish a common goal here. I have my strengths, you have your strengths, I have my weaknesses, you have your weaknesses, but we're moving together toward a common destination and a common goal.
Right. Yeah. So to answer that, question, what's in store for me personally, it was a 2-part question. From my part was, it's the family life. That's the ultimate goal. I want to spend as much time as I can with them. I want to pass on as much as I can when it's my time to pass things on to them. And then the second part of the question was Movement Moves Media. What's in store for the future for Movement Moves Media? Right now we got, like you said, in the beginning, those stages, like I said, the first 3-4 years, you're going everywhere you can just to try to make something happen. And what happened in Movement Moves Media, we're entering our 9th year, is we narrowed it down to some very successful programming or festivals. We have the One Earth Reggae Fest, the International Cultural Festival, and now we have this other one, the DJ from Scratch program, which I see a national vision to that one too.
Right.
So those are the 3 that we're focused on, and we only take on something else if we see a long-term vision with it.
Right.
If we don't see that, we don't take on those one-off events anymore. We realize at this stage that our resources are better put towards growing what we have already than trying to take some of the resources away from what we already started, taking resources away and trying to start something else. Unless a vision is really perfect for that. So
you spread yourself too thin, those other ones could wither, and they're going to suffer. Right.
And then if you take on too much and you spread yourself too thin, then the quality of work you're putting out there suffers as well.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I'll put this out there. Another shout out to Doobie. He's been so so important to the growth. You know, to be honest, of me personally too. He has just such a good sense of the universe.
Right.
Yeah. You know, he told me in a personal conversation, you know, I believe 2 years ago, that like, let it grow organically. The things that you are growing, just feel. You don't gotta. You're in a position, you don't gotta try to force anything anymore.
Right.
It will tell you. You'll hear it. You'll feel it when it's time to expand to something else. You'll feel it.
Right.
Same thing with, you know, like talking about One Earth Reggae Fest. You know, we'll feel it when it's time to expand into another mega stage, or
right,
tent where it's kind of indoors, or something like that, or go on to a 2-day or 3-day event. You know, it's not something that we gotta push for. The community and the energy in what we do will tell us what.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's hard to put into exact words and describing words, but kind of more like a feel.
No, that makes sense. That feeling has kind of always been here in Rebel Sounds Rising, when we know whether we want to do this or that. You know what I mean? It's kind of, you just feel whether we.
And then when we're not sure what to do, we just kind of fall back, and everything kind of like it like you said, the community, the music will tell us, you know, where to go next. So tell us, Mike, where can we find Movement Moves Media, websites, socials? Let everybody know.
Yeah, sure. Movement Moves Media. That's on everything. For you know, when you talk about Instagram, Facebook, that's the main two that we're on. And then our website is movementmovesmedia.com.
I love it. So yeah, well, that's all the time we have today. Mike, super grateful, dude. Like I said, you are a huge part of why this company even exists. So everything that we do, you're kind of a grandfather in. So thank you, brother, for real.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It was great. It was great to finally have you on the show. Can't wait to see what's next for not just Movement Moves Media, but Rebel Sounds Rising's partnership and you know, collaborations with Movement Moves Media that we have. And I can't wait for the community to see what we have in store for them.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity. There's not many platforms you could have an open forum like this to talk about these topics, and you guys did it perfectly. So I really
appreciate it.
We didn't even get to half the questions, so we're gonna have to do this again at some point.
Yeah,
we still
absolutely.
a lot of stuff to cover.
I'm down whenever you guys say. I'm down.
Absolutely, man. Well, it's been a pleasure, bro. I thank you so much. Thank all of our viewers and our listeners, and I thank my brother Brandon.
We'll be back next week with CMB Reggae, hopefully, as long as he doesn't have to reschedule. If not,
isn't it Hector Roots Lewis next week?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, next week. I keep doing this. I'm getting ahead of myself. Hector Roots Lewis next week.
All right, guys. You guys have a great night, and we'll see you all next week.
Peace. Flat.
All my friends have dreads. 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 All my friends have dreads.